I can't believe you went to a grocery store and left hungry. That's an amazing feat.
I had to go for a very particular reason.
Yeah, you're like a robot. This is why people are not that upset that the robots might replace certain things we do. It's like men go to the grocery store for specific items and they just don't deviate, get in and get out.
My dog was hungry, so I had to get dog food.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get me food.
You got fed the dog, not the human. Missed it.
Yeah.
1 for 2.
Figure something out, though. I'll order a pizza or something later on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Everyone should put in the comments what they think he should have had to eat.
You told me to go grab like a rotisserie chicken, which was a good idea, but I don't know.
Yeah, like if you're going to the store and you're hungry, just grab something. They got all that stuff right there. Just, depending on the grocery store. Depending on the grocery store. That's a good way to put it. I wouldn't eat it at every grocery store.
Yeah, true.
Welcome to the Wit Grit podcast. Go-to podcast for all things sports, pop culture, or whatever else we decide to throw into the mix. Ian Price here with you, Sean Duiser.
Good to be back.
Follow us on X at these handles if you're watching on video, at Hammered Ian, at Sean Duiser. What do you think the evolution of the grocery store is going to be?
I don't know. Probably more like a delivery, like you won't nearly need to go anymore.
I already know certain people, and sometimes I operate this way where we're more likely to do a large order at the grocery store by placing the order and then just driving there to get it picked up.
Yeah, like you don't have to spend the time and effort like walking around and figuring out, do I need that? Do I want that?
But in my opinion, and I'm coming from a little bit of an arrogant place or ignorant place. The other one's to be determined. Because I'm not the one that puts the order in. But it feels like the time it takes to put the order in is much greater than the time it would take to just navigate the store and find the items.
Like building the cart, you mean? Like from your couch or whatever?
Yes. Because you have so much time to decide. You can get distracted while you're watching TV. You could put the phone down and walk away, come back to it like a long time later. Like it takes much longer to put in the order than it would. Like if you're in the store, to leave, you have to finish the task.
Right. But sometimes you can just kind of get lost wandering around. Or is that just me?
Happen, and there can be traffic, and there can be all those kind of things that definitely slow down the process. So you're definitely, I guess what you're doing is you're taking the extra time on the front end, and you're leaving the back end for interpretation. You're like, okay, when I get there, if they said it's already ready, it shouldn't take this long. But at the same time, you never know. Like once you get there and put in the number, I've seen a big variety in the amount of time it takes them to bring the groceries to your car once you have already put the thing in. Yeah,
definitely.
So you've still got uncertainty on the back end there.
Yep. It's funny that now, like you see so often, like the employees of the grocery store going up and down the aisles building a cart because like they're building someone's online order. It just like looks funny. Like you work here, but you're grocery shopping. Like it's, I don't know. It's their job. It makes sense, but it's still funny to see sometimes.
Yeah, it's to combat Amazon too, I think.
Yeah.
Because like some people just like to go on Amazon and just get their stuff delivered. It's like,
what
if it's not there
or whatever? Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but while we're on the topic, I went to a big retailer. I don't know what you call it. It's like a Costco or a Sam's Club type thing. I don't want to plug the specific one I was at.
Okay.
But it's a much more interesting store compared to a regular supermarket kind of situation or a regular market.
Right.
Bigger carts, bigger quantities of things. People are giving out samples. It's like you have to be a member to get in, and it really does feel like a little different community.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, they have like free, like good free samples and stuff, don't they?
Well, they got me. I tried a little mini taco, and I was like, it's pretty good. And then they told me how much it was. It was like, I was like, how much for 56 tacos? What? I don't know when I'm going to make those, but now I have them. They got me.
Yeah, I need them. That price per taco, you can't beat that.
You gotta break down the price per taco. Well, today we're going to talk about a little bit of NFL news. We're going to talk about Daredevil, Born Again, episode 4, and we'll put out a spoiler warning on the bottom here. And for our podcast listeners, we'll let you guys know, hey, get out of here if you're not listening to Daredevil. We'll do that at the end of the show.
Yep.
And who knows? I think we're done talking about groceries. What do you think?
I mean, it's pretty riveting stuff. Could go on and on.
Welcome to Wit and Grit, where Ian, Sean, and Elliot break down sports betting, pop culture, or whatever's on their minds.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Any betting recommendations or discussions are not financial advice. Please gamble responsibly and check your local laws and regulations regarding sports betting. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. I did a little March Madness gambling.
Did you? How'd it go?
I did some computer system historical trends type bets, and then I tailed some people. And what I found was the people that I could usually rely on to tail failed. But of the 6 legs I put out on Ian Price's Hammered, which is on this feed,
right,
only one missed. So I hit 5 of 6 of the ones I gave out for the March Madness, and that was a profitable round robin. So,
nice. That's fun.
But the dogs weren't really barking in the round of 64, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about today. The transfer portal is taking the madness out of March.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot. I mean, you're seeing it now that the NIL is in full effect. There's less upsets or chalk because these teams that have this talent, they can just get it bought away the next year.
I guess so. But, I mean, then you see a team like UNC that just barely got in.
We saw a little bit of in the NCAA football too, though. I mean, yes, yeah. I'm not saying it's dead. I'm just saying that, like, there was more chalk in the round of 64 than there's been in years.
That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, and we saw the same thing in football. There was a couple of really dominant teams that got to the top after they spent money on NIL. Teams like Texas that have not been relevant in a while, that were able to buy their way up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Team, you know? Yeah. So I'm just saying that I think that as far as sports gambling goes, it's really important to keep this on at the forefront. When you start looking at trends and things like that, it's kind of a new league.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's the rich are richer. The teams that have always been good, that are usually really good, and were likely paying their players before it was legal, have the ability to just throw big sums of money at these players now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just what I think. That's not, I didn't name any experts specifically, but it's just something I've been thinking about after some of the people that I follow, like, you know, they do this for a living. Like, this is one of their biggest sports. And then just a lot of duds from some of them. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's a changing landscape.
Right.
And it's very interesting to see that. And I think it's going to push smart bettors a little bit closer to the professional leagues, the leagues that are going to have more constants, more things you can kind of look at least people who do mathematical bets, not your gut bettors like yourself.
Right. No, I hear you. I think that makes sense. Just once you start putting the dollars behind the games, you really can make some more confident picks.
Yeah. I mean, like, just there's more movement with players than ever before. So if they don't change the rules pretty soon, it's going to be like, what have you done for me lately? You got to know exactly who's playing when. I don't know. It's gonna hurt Joe Public quite a lot. The people that like to casually kind of come in on some of these sports.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the idea of a diva wide receiver.
Okay.
There's reports that the Patriots were taking Stephon Diggs out for dinner, having a meet. The Houston Texans, according to The Athletic, are also Athletic's Diana Rossini, saying that the Patriots were interested, but so are the Texans. They want to bring Stephon Diggs back, even though he had that pretty bad injury.
Mm-hmm.
Now, her report came days after I saw a report that said DK Metcalf and or Devontae Adams were not realistic options for the Patriots because they didn't want to put the pressure on Drake May to have to funnel the ball to a diva wide receiver. What do you think about that? They're basically saying we could get this guy a really good wide receiver, but we don't want him to feel obligated to throw him the football.
Yeah, I think in a situation like that, I think you bring him in. Like, that's a team that's desperate for talent, especially on that side more so on that side of the ball, really. And that's a young quarterback that could use that confidence boost. And yeah, if it turns into that offense running through Diggs, then so be it. I think that could work for them. I think they should do that.
I mean, the Patriots are the team this year that had to overpay people.
Yeah. No one wants to go there anymore.
Milton.
Yep.
Pay him 26, so he left the Eagles whenever there. I mean, they're overpaying because nobody knows what it's going to be. You're bringing back in Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator, recently off another failed head coaching.
It's a division that you're stepping into where it's like winning, just being in that division, winning becomes difficult. Like, it's the Bills run the show there, and you've got other, scrappy teams there, and the Dolphins and the Jets as well. So, I mean, it's not a place you go and you feel confident, like, oh, we're going to do a good bit of winning here. Like,
is it fair to say Josh McDaniels has mostly just failed outside of New England?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the Belichick coaching tree is like that, though.
I mean, but I was going to say as a head coach, but even when he did that small stint as an offensive coordinator for the Rams, I don't remember that being a great year either.
Yeah.
So without Tom Brady or without the Patriots, he hasn't been much, but he's back as the OC under Mike Vrabel. So they're trying to take the best pieces of the past and put it together.
I think Vrabel did all right in his brief Tennessee stint, right? It wasn't good enough. It wasn't a good fit.
I don't think they should have fired him. I think Vrabel is the kind of guy. I think the reason they fired him is because the GM they wanted to bring in and Vrabel did not get along, and they decided that they needed to build it out from the front office.
Yeah,
which you have to respect the Titans for. But Mike Vrabel is one of those guys that, like, I think we talked about this over the summer, but I've heard players talking about how his film study gets down to the blade of grass on the line.
Yeah, like that meticulous.
Correct. Yeah, like that's how detail-oriented he is. So he's a guy that wants to run the show. And I don't think the Patriots had anybody in the front office to kind of slow him down.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, to get back to the wide receiver part of the conversation real quick, like, I just to give you a rundown of some of the top guys that are still available in that position group. That's Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett. Like, these are names that so the fact that the Patriots aren't bringing in anybody like that is kind of puzzling.
Well, they haven't yet. If you're Diggs, let's say Patriots, Texans, where would you go?
Where would I go? Like, where would I want to be? Like,
you already played for the Texans. You already must have some sort of residence there without looking too far into it.
So between the Texans and Patriots, you're asking me?
Right.
I would say Texans in a heartbeat right now.
Bingo. So it's nice for the Patriots to ask, but the rumors that Stephon Diggs might be with Cardi B. Whatever made that happen, I think it was in Texas, not New England. So
there's just, those names I rattled off, that's an entire receiving core right there. If those were your receivers, you'd feel good about that position group on your team.
So if you're the Patriots and we are correct and Diggs goes back to the Texans, would you target Tyler Lockett or Keenan Allen? Or is there another name on that list? I think Lockett. I'll just go ahead and say mine is I think Tyler Lockett's the guy. If he passes the physical and you think he's all ready to go.
I think Amari Cooper maybe of the group.
Really?
I'd like a Cooper's possession guy. Yeah, big playability.
Before Tyler Lockett got injured, he was about to set records. He had like a September to remember in fantasy football. He was like out of the gate just with Geno Smith, by the way.
Yeah, Lockett's a couple years older too. I guess you got to look at age.
He's not older than Cooper, is he?
Yeah, I've got it actually right here. He's 32 and Cooper's 30.
Amari Cooper's years have been harder on him, though.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Although Lockett was getting a lot of work. I just remember him being a PPR machine in that Russell Wilson offense.
What about Keenan Allen?
Yeah, you've got him up there too. He's about 33. So he's older as well. That's the thing with these guys is that their names but they're starting to get up there in terms of receiver age. Deontay Johnson being the youngest among them, going on 29. He's still 28 right now.
If you're signing one of these guys, you're not signing them on production alone. You're signing what you hope is a really good locker room guy because if he has missed a step, you need him to bring along the rookies.
Yeah. They've got scrolling a little bit further down the list. You got Bobby Trees as well. Yeah, Robert Woods. So that's an interesting one too.
Did you see somebody? Oh yeah, Michael Gallup unretired and went to the Commanders. I guess he really liked DQ.
I did see that. Yeah, that's the Commanders are doing something real interesting.
Michael Gallup is a player that everyone said was going to pop next year, every year until he retired. So
yeah,
I guess hopefully he'll come back and pop for the Commanders. But after they were spending money, that's a good kind of like. It's a good possession receiver to bring in.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I think the Patriots could definitely benefit from a wide receiver addition. Let's go to the quarterbacks that everybody wants to talk about so much. There's been no movement. It's Jameis Winston to the Giants on a 2-year deal.
That's the headline.
And Jameis Winston is what he's always been. He's a guy that you could definitely see backing up another quarterback, or he could be the starter. And if I was writing a story, which I'm not, but if the NFL was rigged, I would love to see Jameis Winston just catch on as the starter. Like they just bring him in and
that's
it just
kind
clicks.
of like a Geno Smith resurgence.
Yeah. I mean, because the Giants have just, they've been looking at Daniel Jones for a while. If Jameis comes in and just balls,
that'd be really fun.
He can go 5 touchdowns to 1 interception.
I mean, this is the guy that threw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. Like
he is 30 for 30. Protect him at all costs though, because he's going to be dynamite in the media when he gets done.
Absolutely, yeah. I wonder how Malik Neighbors is feeling. Like I don't know. Like he's going to throw me a lot of balls. There's might not be good balls.
Did you see the Saquon Barkley thing from the Super Bowl?
Elaborate.
I'm about to. Hold on.
Okay. Winston signing with the Giants. I know you're pulling that up, but makes things a little more interesting for Aaron Rodgers as well.
Yeah. The Aaron Rodgers thing, he gets to kind of wait.
Mm-hmm.
Hit that wrong button. This is
after his photo shoot on the beach. I mean,
oh man, hold on. I have to move it to the right browser and all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you're sharing with the class.
Yeah, watch. This is.
One more question. In this free agency, man, I'm a free agent. I really don't got no job. Who should sign me in free agency? New York? Who? Okay, brother. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
He called it. Yeah. He called it. That's from the Super Bowl.
Dude, he's going to be so good in the media.
That's what I'm telling you. He's gold every time. Just a random picture of him floating with crab legs for no reason. What if Jameis Winston and Larry Tunstall could start a podcast? It could be called Crab Legs and Bong Mask.
Gas mask.
Gas mask bong. I don't know what he would go with.
The quarterback market, one more domino falls, the Jameis Winston domino, and so we're still left with guys. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz. Yeah, there's some more names on there. Russell Wilson's notable, of course. Those are the big ones. I don't know if many people are worried about where Easton Stick is going to land.
if you're the Browns, they already brought Russell in, met with him.
Right.
You know he might randomly go off script and not follow something. Like that's clearly, to me, that seems to be clearly his problem, why he keeps burning out in places.
Sure.
He just was with the Steelers. He's got inside information maybe there. Is that the right fit? Do the Browns make a offer to Russell Wilson? Do you want to tread him? He won a Super Bowl. You don't want to go back to Joe Flacco, or you would have just kept him last year. I mean, I guess now Deshaun Watson is injured and a lot of the guarantees are down. So Deshaun Watson's basically being ignored in this situation.
He's done.
I also don't think he's going to be healthy next year.
No,
so,
he's done.
Yeah,
he's played
done.
his last snap of NFL football.
You've been saying it loud and clear.
Yeah.
And Sean Duiser, make that your pin tweet. Tweet it. Be like, Deshaun Watson doesn't play another down of football.
I don't know if I want my name that closely associated with Deshaun Watson.
Hey, it's a good way to be associated. It's not like you're working with. Never mind. I was about to make a political reference. So it was.
I mean, Russell to the Browns. Honestly, with as squeaky clean as that guy is, it could be a decent move for their image too. Like,
he's a good locker room guy, and
situation.
Right. If they take a guy second overall, or if they don't, it looks likely that right now, from what I'm reading from experts that I kind of trust around draft time, because I've found some people that just seem to say that be consistently right.
Yeah.
About certain things, right? Without giving away any of these sources.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Cam Ward is going first overall.
Right. But it's a matter of to what team.
Right. But it doesn't look like the Browns. I keep hearing that the Giants might trade up or the Titans might take him. So if the Browns are out on Cam Ward, do you take Shadir Sanders or do you take one of these really talented players? I mean, if you're taking Abdul Carter and you're going to have him on the edge with now very happily paid Myles Garrett,
right?
You get to have one dominant force for that defense. You get a dominant pass rush.
You get like kind of a number one unit in the league almost.
Yeah.
At least if we're talking edges, if not, and the entire defensive line as a unit, but at least the edges, you'd have the number one group.
Safe to say they might have, if Trey Hendrickson sits out, they might have the best edge rushing unit in the division by a mile.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so I think that would be hard to turn down as the Browns. And, you took Baker Mayfield first overall, and that would have worked out if you would have given him time. I think that's their biggest mistake. You can trace it all back to if you just kept Baker Mayfield and kept building the team year after year, you probably would have been relevant at least every other year.
Oh, that absolutely. Yep. But was it like Odell's dad didn't like Baker or something weird like that? Oh, man, that was such a messy time for the Browns.
The Baker thing was just
not that it got better.
The Texans were able to hang out Deshaun Watson for a trade, and the Browns were just the perfect team to have something that was going to possibly work for them down the road in-house and look for the shiny new thing and blow it all up.
The Haslams, man, they got too greedy. They're like, that's the shiny toy we've been waiting for. And
the Falcons, too. That's why Matt Ryan left. I mean, it was kind of time to move on from Matt Ryan, but that's why the Falcons went in on Deshaun Watson, and it's like everyone's like, we want him, and I'm like, please don't show up as the Broncos wanting him. Please do not put that on my television.
Yep. Yeah, it was a crazy time. Like I said, it didn't get better for the Browns though.
Is it safe to say that all this free agent quarterback movement, everybody's looking to be the Broncos in 2011?
With Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning. You bring in Peyton Manning, people have doubts, and then all of a sudden you turn it around, you go to a Super Bowl, you win another.
That's the dragon everyone's chasing. Well, and I guess to give a more recent example, you got to give him his flowers. Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady wasn't injured. Tom Brady was just old and moving.
That's true. That's true.
So I guess that's what I'm comparing. Like Deshaun Watson wasn't afraid. Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson have both been semi-injured. Russell Wilson's wasn't that serious. It was a collarbone, but maybe it was. You saw how he played for sure.
It's what the Jets thought they were doing with Rodgers. I mean, and they got more and more desperate to make that their reality, and it just all fell apart.
Okay, so back to Rodgers, what you were talking about. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you're 41, Someone's leaking photos of you walking around pondering on a beach.
Oh yeah.
I'm hearing other reports from former players that you're out in the gym earlier than ever before. So he's like destined to make a comeback. The Vikings are kind of saying we're good unless we get to spring training and JJ doesn't look good. And then we will change our minds immediately.
Right.
So the Vikings have kind of like publicly said,
they've got him on the hook.
Yeah. Like, wait it out.
Yeah.
If you're him, you just went to meet with the Steelers head coaches. Now I'm seeing some reports that the Steelers are hot on his trail. Like after meeting with Aaron Rodgers, they want to bring him in.
And we just saw the Giants go out and grab Jameis.
Yeah. So Jameis is off the market. I mean, you're not bringing Jameis back to the Cleveland.
Seemingly good. Are they?
Well, the Giants said when I saw the report from Adam Schefter when they signed Jameis Winston, he said this will not stop them from signing another veteran or drafting a quarterback. Like Jameis is going to have competition at worst.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the question is, I think they just want to wait till after the draft to sign anyone else. But given all the character things with Jameis Winston, they're trying to make sure they can grow the locker room. I'm sure they wanted to lock down that kind of guy.
So then
compared to what they've had in the past, like with Drew Lock.
It sounds like we're kind of zeroing in on Aaron Rodgers wearing a Steelers uniform.
That's what I'm thinking. If you're Aaron Rodgers and you think you can win with the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, I mean, you both have done it before, just not together.
Yeah, that's true. It's my thoughts on Rodgers. I think he's washed. I don't think it's going to work anywhere. But you also know how I feel about the Steelers and Tomlin and his ability to make anything work that he's given. So
Aaron Rodgers has been through a lot since he became a free agent and went to the Jets. I think that's fair to say. And he got injured, missed a year, all the controversy off the field. Then he had last year where they fired everybody, and then once everything was dead in the water, he started putting up really good throwing numbers because he probably finally healed from the injury he came back too fast from. So now you're at 41, possibly in the best shape you've been in since you wore a Green Bay outfit, right?
Maybe.
You could go to the Vikings, complete the prophecy of former Packers quarterbacks, and you would have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, that's a good offense. Yeah.
But at the same time, DK Metcalf, George Pickens,
Yep. Pat Freiermuth, Jalen Warren.
Yep. And that's I think after everything Aaron Rodgers has been through, if I was him, I would definitely go to the Steelers because you just Green Bay and the Steelers, like you've won that way before. Go do it with them. Like like what helped you the year you won with Green Bay? What helped them the years they won with Big Ben? Because he would be the best quarterback they've had since Big Ben.
Yeah. No, for sure. Interesting.
But it also
puts an interesting spotlight even more so on that division, like with the quarterback personalities too. Burrow, Jackson, Rodgers, like whoever the heck the Browns were trot out there.
Exactly.
But Burrow Rodgers head to head twice a season. Kind of cool.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
And Tomlin would be out of excuses. Unless there's a big injury, like you would have two.
Not really though. Like
he would have two back-to-back seasons.
Hold on, two Aaron Rodgers.
Two back-to-back seasons with quarterbacks who already won Super Bowls.
Yeah, but that are
with a with a good defense. Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's the thing. You can't these aren't the Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilsons that everyone was watching 7 years ago. They're different players.
Yeah. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers. There's probably more left in Aaron Rodgers' tank than Russell's.
That's a fun conversation.
I've just seen too much Russell Wilson to have any optimism in that. As a Broncos fan, I can't. He's a great guy. He's a great guy to have around, but he's just cringy and he just doesn't have it. He has it at times. He doesn't have it for a whole game. If football had gotten to a pitch rotation like baseball, Russell would still be very wanted, right? If you could just put him in for a couple innings. But
so Steelers, if that ends up happening, there's already a game that you circle on your calendar. The Steelers do play the Jets on the road this season.
Do the Vikings play the Jets this season?
Give me a second.
That would seal it. because it's like we know Aaron Rodgers likes a good old chip on his shoulder. Throw this chip on my shoulder.
Vikings at home do not have the Jets. The Vikings don't have the Jets at all. But the Steelers, led by Aaron Rodgers, going up to the Jets in the Meadowlands, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Have him throw 4 touchdowns.
Do you have any thoughts on the proposed rule changes? Have you seen these?
We're talking like overtime.
They've got 3 teams ended up actually proposing them. Let me see if I can find it.
I know I heard a conversation the other day, David Sampson talking about it on his podcast, just about some of the things in football that probably need the most attention. I definitely agree, which is overtime.
3 teams actually proposed actual rule changes.
Yeah.
I've got one of them right here for you. The Lions.
I was just filling while you were doing this. Yep. Okay.
That was good. The Detroit Lions proposed a rule change to end automatic first downs for defensive holding and illegal contact penalties.
Yep. So, okay. This is going to be a similar conversation that I heard David have. But anyway, go on. Yep.
Ruin the reel right there. See that part wouldn't have been in there.
I didn't know you were doing. How am I supposed to know you're doing that?
I wasn't. The top 2 teams that have benefited from those calls are the Vikings in 2022 and the Kansas City Chiefs. The most affected team by these calls is the Lions, so that's why they're proposing it. This has really screwed them several times.
Yeah.
So let me look up and see if I can find the other rule changes. But
yeah, you shouldn't. Automatic first downs, I think, should not be as handed out as often as they are.
Yeah,
that spot fouls also. The fact that you can just chuck a ball up 80 yards and maybe end up first and goal on the 1. Don't love that really anymore.
I don't either.
Really
and I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the Lions proposing the rule change just because they're the team most affected. It's like, that's fine.
But I mean, yeah, the spot foul with pass interference, rewarding automatic first downs for certain things, and then overtime, regular season overtime, not guaranteeing that each offense gets the ball. And I know we've made strides a little bit. It used to just be if you kicked a field goal, you won, and they've at least changed that up. But I kind of want to see both offenses guaranteed in overtime if that happens. And I know they get into the game windows on the networks and everything. They don't want all those games running late during the regular season. But you know what? So be it. If your league has good parity and that makes games run late, that's also good for you. So I know that's kind of what I was hearing. And those have been the top topics on my mind too, in terms of big changes I'd like to see.
That's the Eagles' proposed rule change. So they want to change the overtime rule to the postseason rule.
And then there's something tush push that I heard about as well.
Bingo. That's all 3. That's the Packers. The Packers did their formal ban on the tush push or the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I think the fact that we saw in the playoffs in a high moment, the Bills fell short trying to do that play, showed that not everybody can do it and might keep it legal again, even though the Eagles won the Super Bowl. How do you feel about that?
I think I don't think it's going to get banned. I don't love that it's as automatic as it seems to be. Maybe we could, I don't know, figure out some sort of rule. But I mean, I don't know. It's again, like you said, it got defended, so it can be done. You ran into that whole awkward situation with the Commanders where the referees were talking about, no, we might just give them points if you guys keep doing this. I don't love seeing things like that. So,
yep.
It is an awkward situation. And this one specific team seems to really profit off of it more than all the others. But that's kind of cool also in a way. That kind of is a bit of their character.
Yeah. I mean, nobody banned yelling at the Seahawks stadium when they started talking about how loud it was there.
There was a period of time in 2007, maybe, I don't even know. But the Dolphins, the Wildcat, there was 4 or 5 games where they were getting 400 yards of offense that they weren't otherwise seeing, and then that never got banned. Teams figured it out, and then it stopped working.
Exactly. So. Make them work on it.
I think so. I think so. I think eventually you'll get to a point where you'll start defending it really well, and then the Eagles will throw a new wrinkle in there, and suddenly Jalen Hurts is gonna pull us back up and just fling it over the line to Dallas Goedert in the end zone for a touchdown. Then suddenly we'll have the play action brotherly shove.
Exactly.
So it's figure it out. They'll respond too.
I'm trying to see if I can put up on the. I'm gonna look it up in real time. But the draft, from what I'm hearing on the draft, I think Cam Ward is going to go first. I think Abdul Carter will probably go second to the Browns, as we discussed. I think Shadir Sanders is going to go to the Giants. I think they got to draft somebody and get Shadir in there with Jameis. And if he's not ready yet, Jameis is a real good guy to be around, right?
I mean,
another guy who is a high pick.
They take Shady over Travis?
That's the thing. Someone joked that having Jameis Winston seals that they'll draft Travis Hunter because that way he can throw a touchdown to Travis Hunter, and then Hunter can also play corner after he throws an interception.
Yeah, right.
So since Jameis is going to go 30 for 30, they need to get a two-way player to help both ways. But I think that they've ignored the quarterback problem for too long, and this GM and head coach in New York are just well known on a very hot seat already. A lot of people thought they should have been fired at the end of last year. He gave them one more year to move on from Daniel Jones and find an answer, right? Yeah. So I just don't think, you draft Travis Hunter when you're going to keep your job and you've got a decent team. I think when you're with the Giants, you're the third from the bottom team. You have no quarterback answer, and you're bringing in Jameis Winston. I think you got to take a shot.
Taking a way too early peek at 2026 free agent quarterbacks, if they're thinking like we'll just bridge year, and they've got their eye on somebody. I don't think they do really. Well, I'm seeing like Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, Taylor Heineke, Tyrod Taylor, like no one that you're looking at a year down the road being like, that's our plan.
And didn't Geno get extended in Las Vegas already? They might have already given him an extension.
I'm seeing that he's going to be available in 2026. This is, I don't know.
Well, yeah. So the Giants, I think and there's been some whispers since like the combine and everything that the Giants really like Sanders. But then there was also talk that they might be trying to really like Cam Ward and trade up for him. They might be trying to release both those rumors simultaneously. I think it's interesting that we don't think the Browns would take Sanders, though. What if quarterbacks go 1 and 2? What do you do as the Giants at number 3?
I'd probably Travis Hunter
or Abdul Carter.
Yeah. I saw an interesting stat that I don't know if it's the first time ever or the first time in a very long time that all 32 NFL teams own their first round pick in this draft. It's not like the Dolphins have the Broncos pick and vice versa. Like everyone has their own first round pick.
Wow. So you can actually look at the draft order and see how everybody finished.
Yeah.
You don't have to be
I thought that was cool.
This one via that one and that one via this
exactly.
one.
Yeah. No, the everyone has their pick.
So the Patriots, I think if Sanders goes to the Giants at 3, just to finish off my top 6 here, I think the Patriots would take Armand Membo. I think they also pass on Travis Hunter. I think they just need an offensive. They need help on the line.
Okay.
And if they like what they see at 4, Vrabel's coming in to build it the right way, I think, and he would go that way. And then I think the Jaguars would end up with Travis Hunter.
Interesting.
Now, regardless of how those picks go, I'm assuming most of those players are gone wherever they went. I think you see our first running back go off the board at 6. The Raiders probably take Jonty.
Okay. Well, not be a bad fit.
You know how last year there was a lot of picks that just seemed like slam dunks? Like there was a lot of picks you just kept seeing predicted over and over, and then they just happened. So just like Bo Nix to the Broncos, like there just weren't a lot of secrets about some things. It feels like everybody has the Raiders taking a running back right there, and it's that running back, Ashon Jonty.
That receiver McMillan, I've seen Jonty.
That's what I thought, Jonty.
That receiver McMillan, I've seen pitch to the Raiders potentially.
Yeah.
And then you
I
start
mean, the
getting
wide
into some of,
receiver
like, the
class
linemen after that.
The wide receiver class is a little bit less, not as many big names as years past. A lot of people would talk about the running backs a lot. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious how the NIL fallout is going to affect players coming into the NFL, because some of these guys might be taking pay cuts to come to the league.
That is an interesting take. And you might not be wrong. Yeah.
Like, you might be worth a lot more in your college town than you are in, like, say, not to pick on it, but like, say, Charlotte, North Carolina. Like, how many players on the Panthers are getting a ton of endorsements right now?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's not many.
Not many.
Yep. I think there's probably a Bryce Young ad on the bus or something. Like, I don't know. When DJ Moore was here and Christian McCaffrey, there were signs all over the place.
When there were names, you got to have names.
Yeah.
You got to win games to have names.
Yep. Hopefully start seeing some Bryce Young and Xavier Legette stuff pop up. Hopefully.
Man, I really hope Bryce Young keeps it going.
Yeah. That was an exciting finish to the year, and some young potential on the team that, if it all kind of blossoms at the same time, they might have something here. So
young potential, good pun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's transition this podcast. This is your official spoiler warning. We are going to start talking about Daredevil. So I'm going to change it up right here.
I guess other potential MCU spoilers. I guess we can just kind of blanket statement. We will openly talk about anything MCU related.
Yeah, light spoilers coming up. So that's your exit for everybody that doesn't want to be here for Daredevil Born Again episode 4. Well, this one really showed us some shocking, interesting ways that the Kingpin is definitely not on the up and up all the way.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I just remembered one particular scene.
Yeah. So up until this point in the show, they're very much trying to show you that Wilson Fisk is not trying to go into the black. He's trying to stay right neutral. He's a good guy. He's going to do everything by the law. But then you start seeing these signs of, like, he's agitated by this job. He doesn't want to go have kids sing to him. He doesn't want to do all the aspects of the job. He wants to kind of just say, do this, make changes, have big plans like he's always done. And she's like, I'm showing you the job. This is the job. Yep.
You got to do this part of it.
But by the end, we see that he's clearly keeping a human in a cage and eating in front of him. Every night.
We're thinking that's his name, Adam.
That's Adam. That's got to be.
Yeah.
I think it said Adam.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Obviously, if that story gets out, that is horrible news for his entire administration. We already know that Michael is on thin ice with him, sort of. We had that whole apology and situation, but Fisk did get in his face and say, listen, like, anything like this ever happens again, like, you don't want that. And now suddenly we know he's got this crazy secret. So, like, I kind of like that dynamic.
You never know. He clearly can't just go around losing his temper and just breaking your face in. Yeah. So he's got more elaborate ways.
Like, someone's definitely going to find that dungeon, right?
I mean, his wife must know about it.
Maybe.
They answered in sync.
They did answer in sync. That's true. Yeah.
I feel like if they didn't reveal that right away, I feel like there's gonna be like, yeah, I knew. Yeah. So there was a lot of reports that the way Daredevil Born Again was done before the reshoots, that John Berthal, the guy that plays Frank Castle, didn't want to come back for it. He didn't want anyone else to play the character, but he just said it didn't make sense for Frank Castle's story. So then he does show up in this episode.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
And clearly he must have approved of this story. What did you think of it?
The scene in general, or what he thinks of the story?
Have you seen him as the Punisher before? Did you ever watch the show?
Just
The Punisher?
in kind of recap videos. I've not actually watched the Punisher.
So that's your only take on him doing the character. What'd you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked the character just on its own, standalone, but also the kind of contrast it brings to Matt's character. Kind of a yin and yang sort of vibe. I feel like that I'd like to see play out more in the plot, rather than like them going through something together, rather than them just in a room conversing and fighting a little bit.
The Punisher's backstory there from the comic, right?
Yeah.
Whole family dead.
Yep.
So
yeah, there's a reason he's like this.
he kills indiscriminately. Daredevil doesn't even want to kill.
Oh yeah, I mean I even like the conversation they were having about Frank kind of talking about Foggy and Foggy's killer and saying like he's just in jail, and Matt's like, yeah, he got life, like that's not nothing, like dude got life, and Frank was like, yeah, what about Foggy? Like, Foggy get life? I was like, that's a good comeback.
Yeah. Better than what Foggy got.
Yeah.
And with Wilson Fisk, I mean, who knows how long will he stay in jail?
Yeah. But I guess was Matt going there to get confirmation that it wasn't Frank that shot oh my gosh, Hector?
Yes,
like he kind of knew, but he just wanted to hear it.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay.
He wanted to make sure it wasn't something that Frank had any idea of who it is.
Yeah.
He's trying because the cop didn't get, when he was questioning that one cop, he didn't hear his pulse, like he was lying. Yeah, so he's up dead end a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, who killed Hector is kind of a question we're left with still, which I think is interesting. I mean, it was someone with the Punisher bullet.
So something I didn't notice, but I saw in some Easter egg things, the graffiti signed by Muse throughout the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, graffiti painting serial killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, graffiti, I guess, is one way to put it. It is technically graffiti, just not with spray paint so much.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they wait this long into the episode to introduce this character. It makes me think that they're probably not going to be done with Muse this season.
I kind of don't think they should be, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think Daredevil works best with some returning characters that come and go in his life, and specifically, it's just like Spider-Man. You have the perfect write-out. Yeah. Why you have a gallery of rogues that'll show up, to use a Batman term. It's because they don't kill him, so they keep coming back. And the Punisher, on the other hand, if you become his main enemy, there has to be some finality at some point because he shoots to kill. Yeah.
One thing with this particular character that I've learned just doing a little bit of research is just how like sinister he is, and it could be like a really good plot device as kind of like this constant, looming threat of just Muse and what he's up to, and maybe we suddenly see a piece of graffiti that we haven't seen in a long time, and just certain things like how like in Batman, Joker kind of, we'll see like ha 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 written somewhere, and you're like, oh shit, that's right, Joker is still out there and a problem. Like, I feel like that could kind of be what they do with Muse every now and then. I mean, it's a good villain that Marvel's got that they could do some really interesting stuff with.
I think they're trying to make it more connected to the MCU. Do you feel connected to the MCU when you watch the show? I mean, they made that scroll mention. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, brief scroll mention. Fisk's mentioned a dude in a spider costume, but no, not yet.
Yeah,
they've done a decent job like showing us a little like bit of the city. Like they do shots of like cleanup efforts and everything, and I feel like that's a decent opportunity that they could be like, oh yeah, this is from the recent battle or whatever, and that would make me feel a little more connected. But it's still really good. I don't feel like I'm missing anything from that.
The episode's title was Sic Semper Systema.
Yeah, that's a Latin, something about just injustice, essentially systemic injustice.
Translates to thus always to systems, suggesting a critique of systemic issues aligning with the episode's exploration of corruption and justice.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we opened, or spent the first quarter or so of the episode. With the fiddle faddle, was that what it's called?
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that was an interesting take on that whole situation too. The cops sitting there eating it right in front of him as they're arresting him for stealing it. That was kind of messed up.
That is kind of messed up. And that they did a really good job showing a lot of the justice system issues with that. It's like, I got you 10 days, and it looks like a great deal to him. He's like,
but
man,
then he
10 days,
explains why
it's on my card. Yeah.
Yep. He's like, then I missed this appointment, and then I can't get this aid, and then I'd have to steal food or I'm not eating, and then I end up back here. And like it's a broken system, man. And they did do a good job just letting us get a really brief peek into that.
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode. It definitely wasn't the best episode so far. It was a good builder.
Yep. The ending was incredibly shocking with Fisk having Adam down there in the dungeon, and just that's going to open up a can of worms for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and then we know that BB can get to Michael now too. I see that. I kind of see that's where that's going. Is that Michael's going to learn about this dungeon? He's already kind of on Fisk's radar as a leak, as a mole, not a mole, a leak. And then, now BB knows how to get to him. Just take him out, get him drunk, and we can get what we need out of him. So,
well, it could escalate one of two ways. Will they kill off BB like they did her uncle?
Maybe.
Or does BB live through a situation where maybe Michael tries to shut her up, and then she gets the best of him because, like, she learned.
Right.
When I was in school, I actually learned self-defense as a minor.
That'd be cool.
There's a lot of ways that could go. I don't think that both of them make it out of this season alive. I think one of those characters. Don't you agree? Unless they're keeping the mayor thing going for multiple seasons,
which they also could. I mean, that could be something interesting to see Peter Parker deal with Mayor Fisk.
Yeah,
because they've teased that already, that Fisk and Peter are going to meet at some point. You would think anyway. It's kind of a big MC or a big Marvel relationship.
Okay, well, I think that's all we have to talk about with that. I'm going to go back to sports for 1 second so we can talk about our bracket.
Fair enough. I am excited for episode 5. I'll say that just to put a bow on that. But
before we go,
about that next week.
Just before we go, we wanted to say that we did a Wit Grit bracket contest. It is all of 3 of us in it. And I'm in second place behind you. You're ahead by 10 points.
Nice.
Yeah. And Elliot is 80 points behind you and 70 behind me. So we'll check in next week and see where everybody's at after the Sweet 16. Everything gets set up.
I think we just had a pretty exciting result here recently.
What just happened?
The UConn-Florida game wrapped up. I don't know when it wrapped up, but I know it was this afternoon while we were recording.
Who won?
Looks like Florida, 77-75.
Wow, UConn's done.
That's right. Florida advances and the Huskies go home.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Any betting recommendations or discussions are not financial advice. Please gamble responsibly and check your local laws and regulations regarding sports betting. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org, vacpg.org in Virginia, North Carolina, morethanagame.nc.gov. In Florida, 1-888-ADMIT-IT. All right, I'm looking forward to the next episode of Daredevil. We'll talk more about the madness as the storylines kind of progress. Overall, the first weekend is pretty much, it's going to be done by the end of the day. It's kind of meh.
It's always the tournaments, always exciting and building a bracket's fun, but like the quality of gameplay, at least in the round of 64, typically not too crazy. Yeah, you get your 1 or 2 upset games, but like generally, not the best games.
Yeah, I think next weekend could be a lot better.
Yes, that's when it starts to get really heated. But anyway, looking forward to some more basketball. Hopefully some more football news comes our way. And hopefully episode 5 of Daredevil has some more action in it for us.
Follow us on X. Our handles are right here, at Hammered Ian, at Sean Duiser. Also, you can find Hammered Shark Productions on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Blue Sky, maybe even Twitch, if we can figure out a game to play. Let us know if you guys have a game you think we should play that won't make me so angry because he'll win.
Have a good weekend, everybody.